We're live. We're going.
We're going.
We're here.
We're going. Perfect.
So, who likes Rick and Morty?
I like the Rick and Morty.
Yeah?
It's pretty good.
For a while, for some reason, I knew Rick and Mortis, but part of my brain was like brick and mortar. When I first started the show, I'm like brick and mortar, right? I'm like, no, Rick and Mortis. Why would I think brick and mortar?
Do you keep saying rigor mortis?
No, Rick and Mortis. Sorry, it's Rick and Morty. Rick and Mortis.
I don't think that's the joke.
No, it's not.
Wait, what do you think it is?
No. It's literally it was a parody that Justin Roiland did for Doc Brown.
And Marty McFly.
Oh
Marty
yeah.
McFly.
So it's just Doc and Marty, Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
Yeah, it's just a parody.
Okay, yeah, I know that it's. I definitely get that it's a parody, but are you honestly going to tell me that he chose the name Rick and Morty and didn't think Rick and Mortis?
No, he did not, because that has nothing to do thematically with the show. That's definitely not an intended joke.
It's like, look, I get it. Sometimes that show gets dark, but not that dark.
Oh.
Well, no, it gets that dark, but it has nothing to do with like.
But you know what I mean, like
that's
referencing the main duo to Rigor Mortis.
I don't think that was intended in any way.
You know what? I'm gonna do research tonight, and next week I'm gonna come back at you either with evidence to the contrary, or just not gonna say anything, and you're gonna forget.
That does remind me. I actually want to correct something I said 2 weeks ago because it's been eating me up.
What?
I said Adam McKay directed the Ant-Man movies. I was completely wrong. He scripted part of the first movie, and a different director who I don't care about directed the other two Ant-Man movies.
Right.
And is going to direct the third.
Okay.
But anyway, we watched Rick and Morty. We saw the season 4 premiere. We're gonna get 5 episodes this year.
Yep. I'm really psyched that I'm able to watch them live with my husband, because the last 3 seasons, the first 2 I watched without him. Third season I saw, as they were coming out, and then got them on Blu-ray, so we got to watch them together. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I get to watch them the day they come out every week.
Yeah.
Which, it's good for us.
So I guess just a quick going around the table. How did everybody feel about it?
It's a solid beginning of the season. It's definitely not in my top 10 episodes, but it's still got some really great moments.
And it's hard to beat season 3 when it comes to premieres, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Actually,
it's hard to be worse than season 1 in terms of premieres.
Oh yeah, and it's
that too.
You know what? Here's the thing, though. When it comes to premieres and finales, I'm just hoping that this season has a better finale than season 3. Season 3 didn't
have a finale. That's the problem with that.
Yeah.
They did not intend to end on that episode. They had to just quickly. They figured out, we're ending on this episode. Okay, I guess we'll just turn it into a wrap up.
Yeah.
That's what happened. They've been pretty open about that.
Oh really?
At least they're open about it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's a problem that's hit Venture Brothers as well, where sometimes they
just
don't have a season finale until the beginning of the next season, and then because they put so much work into the beginning of the next season and having a proper finale, they don't get a finale for that season. It happened like 2 seasons in a row.
Man, whenever I catch up on that show, maybe that could be one of my next shows for when I'm jogging.
Yeah.
I'm on season 6. I literally just started season 6 of Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Wow, you're near the end already.
Yeah. So Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Season 4, episode 1. This episode is about death crystals that show you how you are going to die, depending on
kind of
your
thematically
actions.
connected to My Hero, oddly enough.
Oh yeah. Huh.
Like,
from what I was watching,
specifically.
Foreshadowing death.
Knowing how you're going to die.
For those curious, watching this video and not our My Hero one, we were just talking about where a character can see somebody's death. So
yeah.
Anyway.
So Morty has those crystals. Before that, though, I think very important, the new family dynamic.
Yes.
Where Rick is being put in his place, which I am very happy about. Because I like Always Sunny has been doing this season as well. No specifics if people just want to watch that, but where they just take the character who always gets his way because he's such an asshole and stuff. And it's like, no, he doesn't always get his way. Fuck him.
Right.
And I like when a show does that. And with Rick and Morty, I think it's especially important to start humbling Rick, because when you portray him as always right, you portray his ideology as always right. And his ideology is not correct.
No. And that's sort of that interesting thing as the series has gone on. It has explored that with that character of like in season 1, you can do that because you're just having fun.
Yeah.
But once, and it's something.
But the show's choosing to be about things now.
Yes, and it's. If I can get up my own ass for a minute, with DBZA, as we kept going on, we had to be more careful about like what our characters do, what our characters say, how our characters act, and it had to add up to something.
You have to actually start to create consequences when you decide to broaden what you're doing into more than just silly jokes.
Because everything that they've done up until that point stacks. You remember it.
Yep.
Everything has had an influence. So if nothing matters, then the next thing they do won't matter. You won't laugh, you won't cry, you won't have any feeling because you'll know, oh, it's just going to get wrapped up or thrown out. And
I think season 3 was all about season 1 opens with Rick shouldn't be your hero.
Yes.
He's almost directly talking to the audience when he said that. Nobody listened.
Speaking of talking to the audience.
That happened this episode too.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Oh, yeah.
But then all season 3, not all season 3, but through parts of season 3, we start to see consequences for Rick's actions.
Yes.
And particularly in the Rick Lantis mix-up, the episode in the actual Citadel of Ricks, where Moriarty, as the fans call him, which
Moriarty.
It's a great,
That's a good name.
It's a great name.
That is a good name.
Where Moriarty did a coup and killed all these people, and he is obviously connected to 616. Not 616. That's Marvel. Whatever.
Yeah.
I forget his number.
Yeah.
Rick.
I can't even remember if it was a triple digit number or
I think it's C37. C137.
C137.
Yeah, C137. So Rick C137 and Moriarty are obviously connected. He went after him specifically.
Yeah.
And pretended to be a Rick to do it. And we're also seeing our Morty kind of show some Moriarty tendencies as he keeps going along and becoming more self-possessed and more intelligent.
Yeah.
Which season 3 also really hammered home.
I am absolutely so curious about that Morty.
Yeah.
I need to know.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious because in the first season, the first episode with Moriarty, they show Rick having held a baby Morty in his arms and him crying about it.
Yeah.
This Morty did not know his grandfather until he suddenly showed up one day recently in season 1.
So
Moriarty's his original Morty. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the only story there.
I mean, that is absolutely an option that they could choose. I'd like to think that Dan Harmon's gone through.
I think Dan Harmon's actually said he was asked, hey, have people figured out any like big special secret about it? He's like, yeah, some people have already figured out something way ahead of schedule. And I think that's the thing that everyone's already figured out. Because that's a good story.
Let's talk about
ruin a good story.
Let's talk about this episode though, because it has a lot going on.
Yeah. We're leading up to it. We've never
There's
talked about Rick and Morty
called
here
a
before.
segue.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah. So, what were we originally at?
Well, we were talking about the family dynamic and how it's changed and Rick is being put in his place
Rick is
by
facing
his daughter.
consequences. He decided to stay and is choosing this, presumably because he's actually attached to his family.
Yeah.
And he has to ask Morty whether or not he wants to do things. He has to actually
and
be respectful of other people's time and preferences.
And he instantly regrets having to do so. He is not a fan of the idea that he has to ask for anything.
And he has to respect other people.
Yeah, and especially a dynamic that he has already had established.
Right.
This is
he
fucking
lost
with
the
his
power.
Yeah.
It's fucking with his status quo. Like he can ask anybody, strangers, for things. But to ask Morty for anything like that it's demoralizing for him, and he's
because
instantly...
he thinks he acted like he owned everything. He didn't feel like he had to respect other people because he's smart, therefore he's better.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course that's not true. And Morty is a person.
Yep.
So they get to oh god, I forget what they called the planet.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it had a funny name.
It was just a sci-fi name, but the whole point of it is especially when the breakfast scene. He has like this auto response thing going on when the family's talking to him, and he's like, all right, I just did this and I went through my Amazon wish list, and he's like, okay, I need you to come with me to get these death crystals.
Yeah.
So the planet of the name was kind of thrown away, but the death crystals are clearly kind of like the driving MacGuffin for this episode. It's the driving force.
Well, it's an actual sci-fi premise.
Yes.
Which I like that Rick and Morty likes to do that.
Yeah, it's a classic.
So crystals that when you touch them, you can see how you're going to die. And we see Morty see one where he's going to be dying next to Jessica and being told, and her
dying
telling
of old age. Yeah.
telling him that she loves him. And so he's pretty obsessed with that. And also Rick uses the crystals to kill people and avoid his own death.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's great because the death crystals, the way they use it is it's also somewhat like a compass. It's directional. Based on how you move, it shows you different outcomes for your death. I mean, that's how in the episode Morty's literally using it like a compass to determine his fate.
Yeah. And he accidentally uses it, unbeknownst to him, to kill Rick.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not a big deal, as we've seen in season 3,
Right.
because Rick has lots of ways to undo his own death.
A lot of backup plans.
Which I think there's sort of this weird implication of a soul here, right?
I'm pretty sure he just has backups, like a backup cloud data storage of his,
It's
memories.
a lot like a lot of classic sci-fi premises of memories and brainwave patterns being stored as data.
In fact, at the very beginning of the episode, maybe for this reason, they established that he has a chip in his brain,
Yeah.
which could probably just be wirelessly sending something to a cloud data storage of his memories.
But now on a multi-universal scale, as we're seeing in this episode.
Literal memory bank.
I do love the fact that since he eliminated Project Phoenix, he's getting uploaded to other universes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a fun bit with that.
Yeah.
Which firmly establishes that we have stayed in the exact same universe since then.
Oh yeah. Huh.
Yes, because let's see. Because
That was in season 2, pretty early in season 2.
Yeah.
So ever since then, no matter what, they have actually stayed in the same universe.
Right.
Despite what some clip show episodes might have implied.
Right. It's been a while since I've kind of taken a step back and seeing everything because there's also the Cronenberg universe, that whole spiel that happened.
Yeah, we saw them definitely leave that one and go to a different one, and presumably it happened maybe a couple more times, but ever since season 2, they've stayed in the exact same one.
Yes.
Which is maybe why Rick has been so attached to these people.
Yeah.
He's actually stayed with them for a long time.
Yeah. I won't lie. The Doolittle scene from Morty's Mind Blowers is one of the best in the entire show.
The squirrels, yeah.
Yeah, the squirrel universe.
Yeah. But so what we see is Rick's whole plotline in this episode is constantly getting uploaded to different bodies, and so Morty's whole bit, if I'm going to be honest with you, Morty's whole bit was the least interesting part for me.
Really?
Well, okay, mostly just because it has a simple premise. He has given up living an actual interesting life in exchange for getting this goal, basically, this vague goal of something that he wants.
I'm sorry, finish.
And that was interesting to me, but it was also, I don't know. It had some great visual elements to it.
Yeah.
It was a vehicle for gags.
Yeah.
And some action.
Yeah.
Which the action was pretty cool.
It's actually, I won't lie, that scene with the damn tree, holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, and also just the scene where he's just fucking going on a Grand Theft Auto-esque rampage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was pretty great.
Literally, he's a technological version of Dr. Manhattan. It's even a scene from the comic when he's rising up in front of the military. It's a reference to Dr. Manhattan.
Well, and that's what I was talking about, how like this Morty shows signs of being capable of being just like Moriarty, where he's like, yeah, Mortys aren't actually dumb, obviously. They're naive, and they're maybe even kept dumb because they keep dying.
Yeah.
But this Morty has lived for a long time.
I think from what they're showing us is when a Morty reaches a certain threshold, just through osmosis of all this exposure and experiences,
becomes like Rick, and maybe, and in Moriarty's case, maybe becomes smarter than Rick.
Yeah.
More devious.
It's just it would honestly just be like a form of adaptation or survival for a Morty.
I mean, you can't ignore the oh god, I forget what the actual name of the episode was where he met the Guardians of the Galaxy. Basically,
with the Avenger guys.
Yeah. That whole bit, that whole episode,
where he's disarming bombs.
Yeah, and it's like that.
How many times did I do this? Too much, Rick.
Vindicators. Yeah, it was Vindicators.
The Vindicators. Yeah.
That whole bit was so exceptional and really helped to show you that Morty's caught on a lot as episode by episodes go by.
Morty's not dumb. Like the first episode of the show establishes him as really stupid, but obviously he's not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that part of that is due to him just being around the smartest guy in the universe.
Yeah, well, and he's capable of learning. He's just Maybe he was not a school kid.
I mean, it's literally one of those things they've even.
He's a bad test taker, is what you're saying?
Well, it's literally something that they've touched on in earlier seasons, where just people learn differently. Apparently, Morty learns through osmosis and experiences. That's how he learns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like even in season 2, like where Morty correctly identifies something and says what it does. And Rick's like, only half right, Morty. It's like, he's half right about weird alien technology. That was season 1, actually. That was the what was that called? The channel changing.
Yeah,
one.
the multiverse, the multiverse channel box. Yeah, the intergalactic cable,
interdimensional
cable. That's what it was.
But yeah. So I love this detail, and I think this is very much a Harmon thing. A lot of the stuff I find most interesting is stuff that Dan Harmon writes. But that Morty's not stupid. Morty can be an evil mastermind who's unstoppable, just like Rick. And also Rick is definitely wrong a lot of the time about a lot of things, but he doesn't accept that. Season 3 specifically showed that in the clip show episode. Don't take things for granted, right?
Yeah.
And then he just erases that Morty forgot, that Morty saw him be flawed because it takes away control.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't have the control, and now he's also flipping through bodies, not in any control, and having to learn his own lesson, right?
By the way, do we want to talk about it? Because I feel like
I think we may as well talk about Nazi Morty.
So yeah, the first time Rick finds himself in a new body, he is woken up in the dark, or he is confronted in the dark by another Rick holding a Luger.
Yeah,
and that was the first thing that set me off. I'm like, who the fuck owns a Luger?
My parents. What? They have a Luger.
Okay.
And they're not white. It's not suspicious.
No.
So, Rick Sanchez. A lot of questions asked there.
Yeah,
Anyway, comes in
with
a Luger.
Right. Right.
And, of course, Rick's like, hey, yeah, sorry. Like, I actually scrapped this in my universe, so I guess it got uploaded to yours. Anyway, I'm just going to try and get back to my universe. Oh, okay. As long as you're okay with fascist dystopias. Turns on the lights. Nazis. Surprise Nazi.
Yeah, obviously they can't go full on with the imagery. It's sort of a it's
actually they couldn't air it in Germany if they did.
Right, but it's very like Wolfensteinish because
actually that's not true anymore.
It's not true anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it's represented in a parody/negative light, you can get away with it.
Okay.
The reason that they didn't do it was because it would have made no sense to bring back the exact iconography. If you're going with
Rick's version of fascism, so it's got wrenches.
Yeah,
I like to think that someone might have been a Wolfenstein fan in the writers' room. So
actually, well, it was cogs, which
it was wrenches.
It was
crossed wrenches
because it looks vaguely like a swastika.
Yeah,
and so
so was the Windows logo. So
and the best part is, we have obviously Nazi Rick, but then Nazi Morty comes in
a full SS.
Yeah, just full top to bottom.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And his choice, it's very subtle at first, but then it becomes very apparent what they're trying to say, and it's pretty
damning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Morty comes out, and God, I can't remember the exact line. But it's like
he Rick tries a weird ploy to convince Morty that he's the real one.
Yeah,
he doesn't fall for it. But he still shoots his own Rick.
Yeah,
He says he was too political.
Yes.
Yeah,
he was too political. I'm looking for I'm just looking for some simple adventures.
And someone in a full Nazi uniform going too political.
Which by the way, Dan Harmon in this episode manages to do so. Look, I'm just gonna state it outright. I'm not gonna. I don't think we need to paint the picture here. Morty is a critique of a lot of fans who only want one thing out of the series and don't want Dan Harmon to get too political, to have messages. They want simple, regular adventures in the first season.
And
in the car ride.
And also, the right-wing fans. He's definitely talking about them. That's why he's a
Nazi.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too far into the mind of Dan Harmon, but the fact that he made him a Nazi is...
He's also talking about the alt-right guys, who kind of like Rick and Morty.
I mean... So I do like the fact that he goes out of I love one of my favorite fucking lines from Rick is when they're in the car. It's like, look, just don't tell me what you don't want. Just tell me something you do want.
And he doesn't have an answer.
Well,
Yeah.
no, he's like,
I like Mr. Meeseeks.
okay, see, that's something we can do. And which first. He hated Mr. Meeseeks, and he didn't even mind necessarily that people liked Mr. Meeseeks, but there's a large audience out there that is like, when are you going to bring back Mr. Meeseeks?
Yeah.
Which they did it quite a bit in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they had more to use a Meeseeks box to make a whole bunch of Meeseeks.
Yeah.
An armada.
I'm okay.
Or human shields, not even an army.
Yeah. I'm happy with that use of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want a second episode of actually using Mr. Meeseeks.
That idea got played out in one episode. That's why they didn't bring him back.
Yeah. But the use here was very effective. But
Also, like, bring him back. Kill him.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kill this fascist asshole. And then just jumps him.
It was a kill this little Nazi. Can do.
We.
And yes, and then he ends up also dying in that. And
Yeah.
And wakes up in Shrimp World, where
Yeah.
people, instead of descending from apes, descended from shrimp.
Yeah.
And apparently everything in this universe descended from shrimp, as you'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, there's some jokes about that, like, oh, well, yeah, we're shrimp, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I'm just glad you're shrimp and not fascists.
Yeah. Or, again, like even the subtle joke one Rick mentions, like, descended from a primate, whatever, and then the shrimp one's like, oh, are like your houses in the trees or whatever. He goes, no, a lot like this.
Exactly like this.
Yeah,
Exactly
exactly like
like
this.
this.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's no.
It's like, oh, what a mind fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's Rick's whole thing is that every single universe he ends up in, he ends up being in a fascist world, and the line, why is fascism so fashionable now?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
no. God, when did this become the default?
Yeah,
Which,
which again, not so subtle social commentary.
Right.
yeah. So, this was absolutely Dan Harmon just coming out and saying, look, if you're an alt-right douchebag,
Fuck
and
off.
yeah, I don't care if you like my show or not, go fuck yourself.
Which I'm totally cool with saying that and seeing other people say it. So
Yeah, like, look, if you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, we don't have a problem. But if you identify in that sphere, yeah, we're probably gonna have a fucking problem.
but yeah, and like so that's Rick's whole thing. Like, at one point he's a teddy bear.
Yeah.
Teddy bear's also fascist. Nope.
Nope.
He
Yep.
immediately scores himself.
Yeah. Just kills himself with the glass in the tube. Yeah.
And
The odd twist
yeah.
that the wasp world is the more humbling, empathetic world.
Yeah, like everyone's nice to
As
each
they're
other.
killing the math teacher.
That scene. I love. Okay, so I love.
Run my babies.
Just rub my babies.
I love dark. I love dark humor, like, a lot. Dark humor, again, is the chicken soup for my soul. So if you give me something pitch dark, just absolutely like over the top, and you play it out, I'm probably gonna end up laughing. And yes, this whole scene where they eat a man, a caterpillar alive.
Literally saying, "Oh
Yeah.
God, kill me!
Please kill me.
Yeah.
Pass the acid.
Lay eggs in his eyes. Yeah, and but they're also like a very loving family.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a weird saccharine bit with the disgusting, horrible stuff.
And I always find it funny because I think this was intentional because a lot of people's views on specifically that species of insect, they offer nothing to the ecosystem or anything like that. Everyone always calls like wasps or hornets the assholes of winged insects.
Yeah.
So seeing that, no, this is a very loving family.
He's like, well, I'm already an asshole.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Be nice to my family.
So I think it's a nice little smart, like, hey, biology fans, there you go.
Yeah.
And so and I love that, and I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't actually expecting a lesson for Rick there. But during that scene, Wasp Rick asks if he can take Wasp Morty to come help out Ape Descended Rick. Mm-hmm. And, well, no. Oh, God,
It was
the mom.
And
She said, like, have
Yeah.
you finished your
Have your
homework?
homework? No. And he goes,
He's like,
sorry.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can't. Sorry. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, and I'm like, and that's when Rick's like, oh, my God. I could be in this situation. I really got to stop taking my shit for granted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I guess he's just gonna be cool with like respecting other people's boundaries more.
Yeah.
Which is just like, okay, the only way he's willing to do that is by seeing when he has to respect people even more, He's like, you know what? I can do a little bit of respect. It's just he's still a piece of shit. But
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's kind of the arc of the series, is that every once in a while, Rick actually does kind of improve in some regard.
But he only does that when he's spending time with his family.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
true.
only time he's capable of doing it.
Yeah, the only time he's capable of being anywhere close to actually a good person is, in fact, in the service.
When he has to make compromises for his family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe not at their behest. Sometimes it is for their own good. I mean, he gives himself up specifically because he doesn't want to hurt his family. Which,
Don't they undercut that?
I mean, they undercut it by the
with
fact.
like, no, this was part of my plan the whole time, bitches. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that said, like, that's the same season where we had the Pickle Rick episode, where we have a therapist just completely
calling him out,
call him out on all his bullshit, and
and he just sits there and takes it.
And the fans Harmon talks shit about are hated that episode.
Yeah, because
it's Rick getting told by somebody. It's like, nah, you're not as smart as you think you are. You're not you're smart, but that doesn't excuse you from being a person.
Yeah,
and you're still fucked up, and you're still flawed. And he just sits there and takes it, and he has nothing to say. Really.
Yeah. Doesn't even make eye contact with her either. Just sits there and looks at the floor.
Because it's like the only time Rick doesn't have an answer and doesn't, But I think I personally think he's also going to run out of answers when he actually faces down Moriarty. But
yeah.
And my favorite part about that episode is that a lot of people were like, you can't just have a character list all that shit out. I'm like, you can if your entire response to it is to show you that you can be told literally everything that's wrong with you. You could have everything listed out. You could have somebody literally sit you down, look you in the eye, and tell you what your faults are.
But if you're not willing to fix it, you just go right back to denial. And
Exactly. Which is exactly what that episode is about.
Which I was like, whenever I watch the episode and I see Summer and Morty being like, can we please go back? I feel really, really sad.
Yeah, no,
those are kids literally asking for therapy.
Yeah, that whole bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because it is supposed to tell you, because a lot of people got mad, like, wow, this one chick comes in and suddenly she's able to break down all of Rick.
She's a therapist.
It's a professional therapist.
And look, it's not supposed to be realistic.
No.
Like, no, there's no therapist alive that can sit down with another person and break them down immediately like that. Yeah. But that wasn't the point. The entire point of that entire scene was to show that, Rick, you're not that complicated.
Yeah, and like it's subtle, but like the show definitely is of the opinion that Rick is not a good person and Rick is not always right, even though he thinks he's always right.
And I
think it has trouble actually showing that in the story, and that's why so many people have trouble actually getting that point, because it's not very good at making that point sometimes. To be perfectly honest, I hope they fix that in this current season. So far, so good. I think.
See, I feel like it's made perfectly well, and I'm gonna. This might, you know what? I'm probably going to get some heat for this one. I think that if you are thinking about it, it is made completely obvious.
You have a high enough IQ?
I said thinking about it. I think if you think about the character and the things that these scenes mean beyond being just funny or dark, you can tell that the story is communicating to you that he is not a good person.
I do think it helps to. I think it helps to understand Dan Harmon more. Like, and I've listened to Dan Harmon's podcast, where he's very open about who he is and what he thinks and believes.
Yeah, I mean, I literally know almost nothing about the guy. I've heard some stuff from you, but that was after I'd already seen a bunch of it.
Yeah, but I think the show does not condone Rick's actions at all. In fact, you often criticizes his actions. And often it is doing what Dan Harmon usually does, like he did this in Community as well, which is criticize himself through characters and his own flaws through characters.
I mean, that's one of my favorite things in season 5 of BoJack. I won't get too much into detail, but one of the overarching plot threads of BoJack season 5 is that one of the characters is taking one of the roles that they take on in a TV show, and they start using that as an excuse to after seeing this character that I've made, maybe my problems aren't that bad. And it is a critique on the first 4 seasons of, oh shit, a lot of people see BoJack and they think, oh, there's a fucked up person, but he still has friends and he still gets better, and that means that my problems aren't that bad.
Yeah, I just think I think Rick and Morty does try to make that point. I think it can undercut its point by making Rick so consistently right in so many situations. It's trying to make the point that yeah, you're not wrong, but you're an asshole. That point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like you're wrong emotionally, even if you're not wrong intellectually.
Right.
But it's a hard point to try and make.
It
is.
and the show stumbles on that.
Yeah, and they try to come up with different devices to really make those messages hit home, because I mean that is kind of the whole thing. Is like, yes, this is someone who's intellectually superior and smart.
Yeah.
But in a humane way and in an emotional way is so flawed and wrong.
And I think part of the problem is that the show takes it as a given that empathy is good, which
Yeah.
I think a lot of us take that for granted. Unfortunately, a lot of other people do not take that for granted, that empathy is just a good thing to have.
Yes. And you know what? Yes. Hey guys, anybody who ever like gives you shit about empathizing over something, fuck them. Fuck
Yeah.
those people. Empathy
Yeah.
is a good thing to have.
And the show is of that opinion constantly, and it takes it as granted that you believe that.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then you just see Rick as good and
Yeah.
right. And I think that might be where the disconnect is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a really big sticking point for me, because over the last like decade, I keep confronting people who apparently just don't want you to care about things, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't deal with that.
Yeah, no, that's some bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think it's important in when talking about Rick and Morty, because it's got this narrative going on that's yet trying to figure it out is exactly what they're saying. I don't think it's that difficult, but a lot of people trip up in talking about it. Even people who ideologically are more on Dan Harmon's side, which is to say liberal.
Yeah.
Still sometimes read Rick and Morty as supporting things that it does not support. And I think that some of that is in the actual messaging and the writing, where sometimes they fail to get across what they want to get across.
Yeah. And sometimes they do take a point of view that, quite frankly, isn't incredibly liberal.
Yeah, like the whole R word bit.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'll say this. While I might disagree, I will take a well-reasoned argument against my point over someone who's just being outright like...
Which I will say, that wasn't really a well-reasoned argument in that episode. It was mostly a vehicle for a joke.
Yeah.
However, I will say sorry, I was reading
No, it's
chat real
fine.
quick.
No, it's fine.
I was just seeing if someone was arguing against us, and not really. Because I would want to respond. But
that's fair.
Oh, man, what was I saying? I
Sorry.
took myself off my own train of thought.
Talk about having trouble getting the message across, disconnection to the show.
Yeah.
Shit, I think I lost it.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I derailed your train of thought.
No.
Thousands are dead.
I derailed my own train of thought by looking over there. I was gonna say, I was gonna say I really liked one joke. I really liked that some people still somehow managed to misconstrue is the gaslighting joke in this episode.
Oh,
actually, I won't lie to you. I felt like that one is a little bit poorly delivered.
Maybe it's. I think the wording is clever and maybe a little too clever. But
oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. Gaslighting isn't real. You made it up because you're fucking crazy.
He's literally
gaslighting her by saying that.
Yes.
Holy
That's
shit.
The joke is that of course it's real, and he's doing it right then and there.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And it's probably not a mistake that it's a guy doing it. To
Oh
a woman
my
as well.
god.
Especially in an industry like that.
Yeah, no, like, and this is Dan Harmon
Dan Harmon, who's had some trouble with that shit in the past.
Yes, well, and has been very apologetic about his own actions.
Oh my god, that's so fucking clever.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So you also did not get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So like honestly, when I saw that, I thought that was just him being an asshole.
No.
But no.
No.
Fuck. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, my IQ's too low. I apologize.
It just I'll be honest,
it might be a little too cleverly worded.
Yeah.
Like might just be a little too clever by half.
Honestly, if you probably looked at the script, on paper, it might paint a better picture.
Because you're reading the actual words.
Yeah.
But if you're only taking in, if you're sort of taking in the words, but you're mostly reading the tone,
Yeah.
you might
Yeah.
read something differently.
Exactly.
Which a lot of people do. Like, it's a natural human reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm just
It's really great.
No, yeah,
There's
it's-
some things.
It's a great joke.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also one that some people misconstrue.
Well, I mean, to be fair, when the joke happened, it did take me a minute. I had to let it sit and digest.
And somebody else pointed out it goes by real quick.
It's a
Yeah,
very fast joke.
It is a very fast joke.
But it did sort of stick in my craw. I'm like, Yeah, he had the last word there. That kind of stuck in my mind a little bit.
Yeah, but he had the last word saying something blatantly wrong.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention to what he's saying.
Yeah.
But
even in the actor's delivery.
But this is the same show that starting in season 3, the first 2 seasons did not have any female writers on the team. Starting season 3 they did, and then certain people got very angry about that.
Oh, so that's why the series is being so much more poorly written. They brought women in. Huh, that makes sense.
That's what Reddit says.
I'm just gonna take a sip of my coffee here real quick.
I saw that shit unfolding, and Dan Harmon actually ended up doing a podcast with the writer of the Pickle Rick episode, Jessica Gao, I believe.
Yes,
it's her name. She's also now writing the she's writing the She-Hulk series.
Yes, she is.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Yep. She-Hulk.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
She just got announced for it. But she and Dan Harmon had a podcast for a while that I really liked. I was sad when they stopped doing it. Called Whiting Wongs.
I remember that.
I heard about that.
Oh my god!
Where Dan talks to an Asian woman about representation in the industry.
Yep.
They bring in a bunch of diverse people to talk about representation.
Oh, did they bring in Susan Sarandon?
No, they're not bringing it to but they do. That's one of the first things they talk about. That's why the show's called Whiting Wongs, is because
they cast Susan Sarandon as an Asian character who was written for by the Asian writer.
Yeah, the Asian woman wrote in a character named Dr. Wong, hoping that another Asian person would get a role in the show.
By the way, racist name.
Yeah. That was probably her joke too.
Yeah.
Racist name, by the way. So they directly confront that, and they discuss it and you hear Dan Harmon be wrong a lot, and Jessica Gao be like, no, look, this is how it works, and they talk, they have a back and forth, and Dan Harmon has to over that series of podcasts learns how to more easily be like, okay, I'm being an asshole here. I didn't realize I was being an asshole, but this is how I was. I recognize that. Yeah. And it was actually a really good series, and it's nice hearing someone grow in that way. Yeah. And it's very useful as a writer as well to think about perspectives. I'm a cis white guy. I need to work harder to understand other people's perspectives and not fuck up. Yeah. Learning to do that takes some work, and the podcast was actually very helpful for that.
Yeah. And it's sort of the interesting thing where a lot of people, and when it comes to the approach of representation in the industry, a lot of people kind of hear the idea of it, and some people kind of get flashbacks or these images of people screaming at the top of their lungs or kicking down people's doors or assaulting them on fucking social media. And it really, all it is a matter of, hey, we'd like to start a discussion about can we please have black actors and black actors, Asian actors, etc., in more roles, in more leading roles, in more supporting roles, in more romantic roles, and as some people will point out, and not just when it comes to voice acting, not only when you need a black person as a shield against being called racist for a character. It's it's voice acting. You should be letting black actors also play whatever role they want, just like everyone else gets to. Rick and Morty actually failed in that respect. It still has not actually fixed that. I don't think that it's just had black people play other black people and monsters. But
all that was to say that Dan Harmon is a very flawed person who has been putting a lot of emphasis on growth. Yeah. Over the course of his professional career, and I think that's really cool to be open about. Yeah. Being flawed and getting better. Yeah. And it's good for friends to have a conversation and talk to each other about their experiences and then work things out that way.
Yeah. And there are a lot of people out there, and so, but then when it comes to comedy, there's always that conversation about what is the purpose of comedy. And comedy serves so many different purposes. But there's a lot of people out there who don't like the idea of politics and comedy. They don't like the idea of social commentary, philosophy. What they want is something that ultimately suits their needs for comedy. But the interesting thing is, I understand that to a certain from a certain perspective. Obviously, every once in a while, I would like to be able to just turn my mind off and watch something that's just kind of funny and entertaining and not that all that engaging. But when you're going as long as the show has. Yeah, at some point, you kind of gotta try and evolve and change and say something, and I think that's important.
Yeah, and also, frankly, people who say don't put politics in comedy, that's what they say, and I'm of the opinion that what they mean is don't say things I disagree with. Yeah. not the same thing. Like, and I prefer to just say what you mean. Like, if someone says something that I think is shitty, I'll just say, hey, I think that's shitty. I won't say you're being too political, because that's just a smokescreen for what you actually mean.
And at this point, I used to be a lot angrier and a lot more hot-headed when I was younger. And by younger, I mean probably in the last 10 years. But as I've grown older, like, look, I don't particularly care for some of the bits from Dave Chappelle's and Bill Burr's latest stand-ups. Some of them offended me. I also don't hate Bill Burr or Dave Chappelle. I don't think that their specials should have been taken down. I have criticisms of some of their jokes,
and that's fine.
Yeah, and that was fucking it.
Yeah.
And I remember I voiced that out. I'm like, hey, yeah, I don't like some of these jokes.
Yeah, this is how I feel about this.
Yeah, and I got fucking slammed by a bunch of assholes who thought that I was part of a whole nother thing. And it's like, yeah, I don't even want to say it.
I'll just put the air quotes on that. We'll
fill in the blank.
Fill it in.
Fill it in.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, look, we're just
I knew
trying.
this is the road we were going to go down talking about this episode.
I
knew.
The episode basically calls out people who disagree with politics.
Shooting someone in the head because they're too political, that's a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he shot him in the chest.
Head. Oh wait, who?
Rick.
Yes. Yeah.
He shot Rick in the chest. He didn't shoot Rick in the head.
Yeah. He shoots Rick in the chest for being too political, and then goes on to demand, I want simple, non-political adventures, which
literally says, I want it my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's what it actually is. I will say, I saw someone on my timeline point out that, like, yeah, Rick and Morty denounced those fans, which is great, but there wasn't a lot of self-reflection as to why they drew in those fans in the first place, and I think that's valid. Like,
that is a valid
they should ask
remark.
like, you know, BoJack asked that question.
Yes.
And I think Rick and Morty should probably ask themselves that question too. What have we done that catered to those people? And
I will say, I feel like the last, like, especially in season 2 and 3, it has done a lot, and I don't know.
That's why those guys hated a lot of season 3.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure how much more. Like, here's the thing, I definitely don't mind if they.
Introspective spies subscribed again.
Yeah, I know. That's weird.
What a loser.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say thank you, X Nikon, if you're still here for the 1,000 bits.
Yes.
Anyway, so it is impossible to ignore the political element of Rick and Morty. If you talk about the comedy in Rick and Morty, it is a political show.
Also, all art is political. I will just say that because that is true.
I mean, to a certain extent, yes. Not all art is technically political, except for the fact that politics, like, you have to.
It's life.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if I may, most of art, at least to me, sends a message. Like, that's kind of the whole gist of it. It's a form of expression. It's sending a message, and it's also up to the viewer and the consumer to interpret it. Especially that's why, you know, when you go to an art show and you see these pieces, the whole point of this is, like, everyone gets a different interpretation of something of that piece. And that's just kind of how it is. I mean, because art is a way of expression.
Can I completely sidetrack this for a moment?
Yeah.
Why does Jerry keep pronouncing Japanese words like he's trying to be Japanese? Was that intentional? Because he did.
I don't know. I don't know if, like, the voice actor Chris Parnell is, like, just big on actually pronouncing
Akira
correctly.
in anime, and I'm like, what the fuck is
Maybe he's a fan.
on?
Yeah. It's also just really funny for them to just be blatantly talking about Akira. And
Yeah. Oh no, I love that. It's like we have an Akira situation.
yeah, it's like, oh, and, like, you know, I don't want any more anime stuff happening to my kid.
No, anime. He says
Anime.
He says anime and Akira.
I think that's just extra funny when he knows that much about it.
It's really funny. Like, I'm watching. I'm like, why is he saying it like that?
Exactly. It's the classic joke of, it's like, because they'll say something. It's like, how do you know that? Like, how do you know that's how it's pronounced?
Because fucking Rick says Akira.
Did he own a kimono at the end of season 3?
I think he did.
So is he like Jam in Parks and Rec?
Actually, I don't know if it was. I actually don't know if it was just a kimono or if it was just a robe.
Bathrobe. I can't remember. Yeah, but I'm just wondering if he's like Jam in Parks and Rec, or Erlich Bachman or in Silicon Valley, where they just fetishize Japanese stuff without actually knowing anything about it.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah. Ultimately, point being, comedy is going to always come, like, when you're creating comedy, you can choose what you want to talk about. And if you want to make it more political, if you want it to be more introspective, that is absolutely your choice. And I am not going to take that away from anybody. Whether or not they do it well is always going to be up to different people.
And I will challenge you to think of a single great comedy that isn't political. Just one.
By the way, apparently Jerry did have a kimono.
Huh?
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. I can't, like, it's... okay, so off the top of my head, it's very difficult. I even thought Austin Powers had a ton of feminism in it. Never mind.
It also talked about the Cold War and communism right away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Although it used it less to make a political statement and more as just as background.
You know what it did? It did make a social statement though when the woman is drunk and wants to sleep with Austin Powers. He says, "No, you're drunk. It's not right."
Like,
yeah. I mean,
it immediately made a social statement.
Airplane? You think Airplane didn't have political jokes in it?
No, I think I'd say let's not be accusatory. I think they're just throwing out names.
Yeah.
They're trying like
Monty Python has entire bits all about politics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
Specifically in Holy Grail has the whole bit. I didn't elect a king, and they start talking about
Yep.
politics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
there's no such thing as an apolitical great comedy.
Yeah. I mean, and that's because comedy is always going to refer back to what's happening. Like,
Yeah, comedy is built on social norms and contradicting them and challenging them and saying something with it is how you make a great comedy.
yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say something real quick to kind of button that to help with that. I actually watch a lot of comedian podcasts, like Joey Diaz's podcast, The Church of What's Happening Now. I watch a variety of different comedians in their podcasts, and you know what I get out of comedians and comedy in general, because I'm not a comedian. I'm a sci-fi. I'm a sci-fi drama kind of person, but one of the root aspects of comedy is it's observations you're making in society at the time you're writing your material.
Yeah, and politics is inherent to that. And
Yeah.
Gekir, you're correct. They say I feel like trying to quote unquote not be political makes the statement current policy is okay and I want no changes, which is political. And
Yes.
and being apolitical is saying the status quo is good.
Yeah.
And that's inherently political too.
And there are
whether
a
you
lot
like
of
it or not.
there are also a lot of kids films that kind of stray away from that. I mean,
But
you know, parallels can always be drawn, and things that statements that are made. You can get away from real world politics and still have messages that can be interpreted.
And reinforcing status quo is political. And it's not always important. Let's look at that.
That's also the other thing.
But like Lion King, the political message of Lion King is monarchies are good. Trying to circumvent a monarchy destroys everything. Obviously, the people who made that don't believe that, but that's the technically political statement it made. Right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. That's not actually what the story's about.
No.
So everything is political. The politics is not always important to
So
a story.
maybe for some people, they just don't want the politics to be at the center of the story. They don't want it to be the first and foremost thing.
Which, if you don't want that, that's fine.
Yes.
Go watch something else.
Yeah. Yes, that is honestly, if you don't want that, look for something else. There are other shows.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when it comes to, and I'm going to be honest, when it comes to R-rated comedy, it's very difficult not to go that route because when you talk about mature subjects, we're
adults. Politics affect our lives greatly.
Yeah. But yeah, so this was a good episode to discuss this particular topic.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be discussing much more Rick and Morty. I think we had things to say about this one.
Yeah.
And I think
Because it brought up a lot of elements that need a little bit more attention. And again, like I said, I agree with Scott. It's a nice beginning of a new season to tackle some of these subject matters and topics.
Yeah.
And especially on how it was delivered as well, based on what's been happening, not only to the show and to Dan Harmon and to the creators, but also what's just happening in the world right now.
Yeah. And culturally, there's somewhat of a movement. I think it's a small amount of people, but there's somewhat of a movement of take politics out of comedy. Or it's like, well, that's not going to happen. Sorry.
Because in a way, politics is kind of everywhere.
Yeah. And comedians are people with opinions.
Yeah.
And things to say.
They're social commentators.
And comedy is an art form. It's not just comedy is art, and art often has things to say. Not always, but often.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to respect comedy as an art.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And if you disagree with what a comedian says, if you are a conservative and you disagree with a comedian that is pro LGBT, okay, I say well, You know what I mean. I don't want to box label as the only people who are anti-LGBT are conservatives or vice versa. Anyway, point being.
Yeah, no, there's a movement of people on the left who are also,
Yeah, but if you are anti-LGBT and a comedian is pro-LGBT, you don't have to support them. You don't have to enjoy them.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to consume their content.
Yeah, and that's why.
Also, if you're anti-LGBT, fuck off.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
But, But
I don't think we have to be shy about saying that.
Yeah, no, there are some things
We got
that,
lots
like,
of people in our company.
my personal perspective on this is that I always
Yeah.
try to approach things as commonly as possible because I like to start a respectful dialogue. However, people who make bad faith arguments can go fuck right off. That's what I'll say. If you are anti-LGBT but you have concerns, I will engage you at any point as respectfully as possible. But if you come at me with a bad faith argument or if you treat me like shit because of it, I won't be patient with that. So that's my response to that.
Yeah, that actually reminds me, just real quick, little tiny side tangent. Trevor Noah was on Hot Ones and he was talking about his show and how a lot of his viewers and his fans are like, when he's announcing someone like Ben Shapiro or something on a certain part of the spectrum, they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna fucking slam him or destroy him. But he's like, no, like here's the thing. I want to have a civilized dialogue with a person because when you come to my show as a guest, I'm going to treat you like a guest. Because that's just how he is, and again, like, yeah, I'm of the same manner where it's like if you want to come to me and have a dialogue, I'll have a dialogue with you, but you got to be willing to do your share of the dialogue as well, and be respectful.
Well, the interesting thing about that is there's actually still an ongoing conversation about whether or not those conversations are actually productive or healthy. So you have Trevor Noah bringing on someone like Ben Shapiro. What's the point? What exactly is the point of bringing on Ben Shapiro? Because even if that conversation happens, is anyone's mind really going to be changed, or is he just given a platform
a larger
to somebody?
platform to,
right.
to dispense his message.
And from my perspective, Ben Shapiro is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest about that.
And a failed screenwriter.
Yeah.
So
and if you disagree with me on that one, I understand. Like, and I'm not going to jump down your throat if you think that he has valuable things to say. I will say that I think he's a piece of shit.
And for someone who says facts don't care about your feelings, he sure lets his feelings interfere with facts a lot.
Yes. Yeah. No, he makes dishonest arguments. He plays to emotions.
We're getting into it.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
He is
I'm
not
so sorry.
But
What have I
done?
that thing's like he has in public debates. He railroads people. He gives false statistics that
and intentionally seeks out people who he thinks he can beat in an argument.
Yes.
And when he's losing control, he literally will storm off.
Yeah.
And leave.
So Ben Shapiro is a piece of shit. However, I will not go after people who sees value in the things that he says. But I will say, hey, this guy's a piece of shit. Don't listen to him. And I don't think there's value to giving him a platform because I think the thing that he does is that he intentionally spreads misinformation to get people on his side because he wants to make money, because when people listen to you, they're willing to pay for you to show up at events. They'll go to your YouTube channel. They'll watch your stuff.
Right.
He's a controversialist and he's a bad person.
You can get lots of views by trying to be controversial.
Yeah.
By the way, I was paraphrasing Trevor Noah's thing. The whole root of the statement is whoever he has on his show, he treats like a guest as long as there's mutual respect.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, I don't know if Ben Shapiro was ever on Trevor Noah's show. That's the first example I can think of. I can't really think of someone off the top of my head other than him that would be of that example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
well, I think we should probably start wrapping up.
Honestly, that's why I was trying to button.
So the silly joke with the old man and little boy, the show. How do we feel about the premiere of season 4?
good episode.
It's again, it's a great opener for the new season.
Yeah, that scene with the fucking tree is a goddamn trip. By the way, I mentioned that earlier, but wow,
people don't give Rick and Morty enough credit. Like most people don't notice that Rick and Morty is puppet animation for the majority of the show.
Yeah,
they make really, really good turnarounds. I have hundreds of files of Rick and Morty production stuff, but Rick and Morty is a really well animated show. It keeps proving how well animated it is. Also, at the end of this might just be interesting to me. At the end of the credits, rip to their producer, who R.I.P. to their producer.
Oh, yeah.
Who passed away. Also producer on The Simpsons.
I missed the ending thing. I actually missed the scene after the credits.
Yeah, they animated a little a small little memorial for a friend of the show.
He was one of the higher ups in the producers team. Yeah.
He also produced for The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And also they had also after the credits, you didn't see after the credits.
Yeah.
They revealed Jessica was talking to her friends and talking about what they're going to do after high school, and Jessica said, I want to be a hospice nurse, and I want to look whoever it is in the eyes as they're dying, look at their name tag and say, I love you, whatever
Blank.
name is on their name tag.
Oh.
And Morty overhears that and is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And Rick shows up and says, hey, Morty, do you want to? He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Fuck it. And he leaves with Rick.
Okay, I'm gonna have to see that. Shit.
She's basically like that angel setting them free, that mercy angel.
So he wasn't even going towards anything he actually wanted.
No.
Which is,
That's great.
But yeah, and also at the end of the episode, instead of Starburns Productions, that's a good show. That thing.
That's a good show.
It's a good show.
Yeah, but instead of Starburns, they have a different production company called Green Portal Productions working on Rick and Morty now, which to me says that they made a separate production company specifically to produce Rick and Morty content.
Right.
Which
makes sense with the company
makes a
name
lot of
and
sense.
everything. Yeah.
And it's probably one that maybe Roiland and Harmon both own. I don't know. But
Yeah.
Starburns is still kicking though. They're still making Harmon Quest, I think. So.
Yeah.
But I think that might only be the business side of production might only be interesting to me though. So we can.
It's interesting to me, but yeah, okay.
But we're also running a entertainment business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't hurt to look at other companies.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, yeah, I think that's about it.
Oh wait, sorry, no, it isn't because we have to talk about summer.
Oh yeah, last bit.
So how did you guys interpret the bit with Summer at the very end? Because I saw it as a little bit of just Summer, shit talking Rick and Morty behind their back, like while she thought she could get away with it, and also a little bit of the creators recognizing the people who make Rule 34 art of Rick and Morty together.
I don't know.
They did a lot of like responding to fan things, and so that's the only reason why I think that.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it since it obviously felt like Summer mocking them, I didn't feel that personally.
Yeah.
Because it was. I don't know. I kind of.
It's a weird moment that they really let play out.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm the jokes where Rick and Morty are really shitty to her.
I feel like there's gonna be some comeuppance for that this season.
I think there will be.
Yeah, I think
that's what they're setting up.
Although Summer herself is always this weird character of, depending on how, like, which episode it is and how she's written, she's either actually really interesting, really funny, or kind of the third wheel.
Right. And I think I don't know. Season 3, they had her go through her own stuff and also sort of just be in the background and kind of resent being left out a lot. Which I think is a valid way for her to feel, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, I loved the fact that, throughout that entire season, it's shown that she is pretty damn capable when she's confident and given the role to do something.
Yeah.
The Mad Max universe.
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Or the one with the hunter.
Yes.
But yeah, just wanted to cover the Summer thing.
Yeah. I can't believe we were about to miss that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Also, call back to episode 1, I believe.
Yeah, episode 1 and the end of season and the beginning of season 3. Rick and Morty, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You can do whatever the fuck you want, he said in this one. I think. But cool. I think we're done now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Summer ruined the episode.
How many more episodes do we have of the show now?
4.
No, I mean of the show.
Oh yeah,
they ordered like 70?
69.
Yep. Nice.
Nice.
All right, that's the end of the episode. We're gonna end on that, I guess. Bye.